Firstly, welcome to the Punters preview. Some technical difficulties while we're getting started. For our marketing guys, if you can just make sure you're in the Discord call and mute anyone who starts talking. Always issues with that. But aside from that, give me 1 second. I think we're almost good to get started. Probably should have tested this out earlier. Not my forte testing this shit out. Sweet. All right. There is a comment section. So I'm using the same thing that Jacob from Tripod uses. He told me a little hack on how to get all this working. Hopefully, it's working fine. And thanks again for your patience. All right, we're going to get straight into it, guys. What I'm going to do from the start. So, as always, guys, if you Google Wicky Linktree, you'll see what you see on your page at the moment. Our Discord community, I think, is at about 3,700 now. We're aiming to get to 4,000 in the next week or so because our 4-year anniversary next Tuesday, the 19th of March. So, please join our Discord. We are on fire in terms of the community and all the stuff that we've got going on. I won't talk about absolutely everything on here, but in the last week, we've started doing NRL Fantasy content. We're also going to be doing NRL SuperCoach content. We've got, what else is there? We've just rolled out an AFL odds comparison tool. Very similar, obviously, to NRL try scorers. You can see first anytime goal scorers across 6 different bookies, I think it is. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Very quick shout out to Wiki Premium. So I think we've got 24 of the 30 slots in gold sold out, and it's literally round 2. So once we hit the cap, we're going to stop it for the season. So if you are interested in Wiki Premium, please check that out and DM me if you've got any questions. Aside from that, we've got BetRight and TopSport. We're doing custom markets with both of them. We hit one of the 2 on BetRight, and we did not hit on TopSport. But it was my fault. Well, actually, you know what? Sorry, it wasn't my fault, but 2 of my picks were To'o and Isaiah Yeo in a Storm Panthers game that had 1 try in it. So I can't say it was my fault, but obviously stuffed up by getting a heavyweight battle in where there's no freaking tries. Let me just quickly suss the comments, see if there's any technical issues. It seems like it's fine. If you comment on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, I can see it in just like one comment section over here. So that'll really help. Give me a sec. I'll just make sure. And to our marketing guys, if you notice any technical difficulties, DM me. DM me on Discord. I've got my phone right here, ready to go to suss out any tech issues. All right. Okay, cool. I'm going to get straight into it, guys. So with round 2, there's a ton of team changes, just a lot of issues all over the place. All right, sweet. I see a message. All good, no worries. That's it. No more tech issues. I'm going to get straight into the fun stuff. I feel like I've got to keep changing this, which is super, super annoying. Give me a second. Stop screen. And then I'm going to present. Yep. There we go. All right. Awesome. Got it working. So you can see the odds comparison tool, guys. Wherever you're watching, if you haven't seen this before, this is free to use. Just Google Wiki Linktree. It's called the odds comparison tool, or obviously you'll find it on wiki.ai in the rugby league or the fantasy and betting section. What we try to do here, guys, is we try to give you 6 bookies. So whichever player you want to get on, whether you're building multis or whether you want to have a look at a juicy high odds, holy Jesus. Okay. Whether you want to have a look at high odds, first try scorer, whatever you want to do, we're trying to give you the best shot, getting the best odds. So how I usually start this pod is getting straight into it, going game by game, very quickly looking at some of the juiciest try scorer odds. 6 p.m. Sydney time. Obviously, I stuffed up today, a few minutes late, technical issues, whatever. But first things first, I get straight into the try scorer plays. What I try to do is figure out any juicy prices, but also like sort of early leans for my same game multi that I'll put out on game day on our Discord. And also if you're building your own multis, I know that people who don't punt much and punt recreationally obviously love their multis. So at least try to steer you in the right direction. So I start off with that, look at all the games. After that, very quick look at my fantasy and SuperCoach team and any of my key thoughts. But we've got NRL Fantasy Scout and Carl Bedford from our Discord. They put together super, super long, detailed NRL Fantasy articles. So even if you play SuperCoach, I would recommend that. And I'm actually doing a little bit of collab work with Aman Talks NRL SuperCoach. Funnily enough, if you follow him on SuperCoach, we actually went to the same school. So cool little opportunity there to do some content. So we're going to start doing that tomorrow, which is going to start rolling out. But enough shit talk, guys. I'm 13 minutes past when I should have started, and I haven't started actually talking about the tips and try scorer chat. So let's get straight into it. All right. First up, we've got the Broncos and the Rabbitohs. Both of these teams obviously played in Vegas, and both of these teams lost. So it's going to be a really interesting game. I think just generally, I definitely like the Broncos here. I think one big one for the Broncos was Piakura getting injured like a couple of minutes into the game. It meant that Paddy Carrigan had to play out wide, and I think the Roosters really had an advantage throughout the game because of that. And I think the other look, I'm not going to get into the issue and how many weeks should have been, all that kind of stuff. But I think the Roosters have also, the whole Spencer Leniu issue is actually nothing related to this. I just think it's interesting. He's out for 8 weeks. Whatever you think about that, I guess you can let us know. But something that's going on in the news at the moment. Getting back into it, I don't actually love the $13 for Paddy Carrigan. He hadn't scored a try for like the first 70 or 90 games or whatever it was of his career. And I think he scored, I know he scored one, but I think he might have scored two towards the end of last season. But regardless, there's chat that Jacob Gagai is going to not play. It was actually a premium tip earlier today that I put out. There's someone who could be replacing him. That was pretty juicy odds. Again, all that stuff is premium stuff, but there's talk that Jacob Gagai is not going to play. So I definitely wouldn't be touching this. Aside from that, in terms of any try scorers, anytime try scorer, there's probably, I think if you do think the Rabbitohs could compete, one way you could go is like AJ. I know he was part of that 10-1 multi that got up for me in round one. And Alex Johnson at $2.33, bet 365. You just know that like with their, like they've got, who is it now? Jai Arrow's now out. Campbell Graham's now was out obviously from before. And they could have a couple of other like further changes as well. Whatever they do, you know that they're just going to go left. It's their only chance, especially against a really good team like the Broncos. So I don't mind the $2.33 on Bet365 about Alex Johnston. Aside from that, I'll see if anyone else really stands out. Cam Murray, you see that he scores a try every 5 games. And here you're getting him for almost double the price. Yes, of course, I know he's playing the Broncos. But I just think, Cam Murray at $9.75 is pretty juicy. I think he's gone crazily. I think he's gone higher. Like, I think he was like $8 something. Now he's $9.75. Anyways, that's probably one that stands out. Let's get into the juicy stuff. The high odds try scorers. I'll just see if I've got any. Nope. All right, all good. The high odds stuff, guys. So in terms of starting middles, Tatola and Kepi both around that $81 mark across BetRight, Toppy, and Bet365. Don't mind that at all. Who else do we? Probably no one else. Oh, Jordan Ricky at 34 is Bet365. That seems like a pretty interesting price for first try scorer and last try scorer as well. But that's probably it, guys. In terms of the Broncos Rabbitohs games, I think my main take on it, it's going to be really hard for the Rabbitohs to win this. I assume if the Broncos are first in the list, that means they're at home. So Rabbitohs playing away from home, already got Arrow and Cam Graham missing. Probably going to have a couple other changes as well. Like, I just don't see how the Broncos lose this one. But anyways, all right, Sharks v the Bulldogs. Let's start off with anytime try scorers. Crichton did score last week on that left edge for the Dogs. I just think they've got a lot of issues at the moment, so don't really want to take any anytime try scorers here from the Doggies. Let's get into the high odds stuff, because one thing that was interesting, guys, if you watched that Dogs game last week, Bryce Cartwright scored 2 tries, and I think both of them was when he shifted to the middle of the field. And I know last year, if you check out SuperCoach Guns' try map, pretty sure the Dogs were in the bottom 2 in terms of teams that conceded a lot of tries in the middle of the field. So looking at that, a couple of things that potentially stand out is your Toby Rudolphs and your Oregon Kaufusi at that $61 mark for first try scorer. They're both on BetRight as well. I'm sure there'll be others that pop up by the time that I write the article. Remember the article, this podcast and the odds comparison tool go live at 6 p.m. or today I was a bit late. And the Pundits Preview article, I kind of prep some of my thoughts, but the picks go live in the article about 7:30 p.m. So make sure you look out for that. So I try to use this podcast as my way of kind of like talking about the game and going with my leans, and then I kind of finalize and lock things in by the article. So, the main 2 prices that stand out are Rudolph and Kaufusi. Sharks middle forwards running at a weak Dogs pack, a Dogs team that sort of lost, and not only lost, I think they got really shown up for a pack that just doesn't have they don't have the names, but they don't have the size as well. And I think like you look at that Sharks pack, you got McInnes, you got Rudolph, you got Kafusi, Royce Hunt. They're probably not like huge. They're probably not like they don't have like a Junior Bolo and like a Nelson Asofa Solomona and stuff, but they're really, really good. Like I really rate this Sharks pack. It's like really well spread out. You got Blake Brayley, never misses a game, never really missed a minute of a game either. But anyways, Rudolph and Kafusi probably the two that stick out. In terms of edge stuff, really quickly, I think again the Dogs are gonna have a lot of changes again, I think, because they've got Addo Carr, who's missing as well. So I think whether you go Wilton on the left, Nick Hora on the right, you can't go wrong in terms of good hole runners on both the edges for the Sharks. Panthers, Eels. I think one thing I'm going to be super wary of is not fucking tipping a short odds anytime try scorer for early season games where there's two good teams playing. So I think last week I thought, holy shit, like Cam Munster is out, and therefore I'll tip Brian or I thought that was like a slam dunk pick. And then fucking Tungo inside him just did not pass him the ball. So I'm going to be really wary of that. So even though, and I think again, I should say that I really do rate the Parramatta Eels this year. I don't think they can win the premiership, but I think they're a genuinely good team. They've got a great forward pack. They've got backs. Well, they've got a spine like Moses, Dylan Brown, and Gutho, who have kind of like felt the pain of a grand final loss and then not even made the finals the season after. So generally, I think Para, a really mature team. Again, don't think they can win the comp, but I think they're definitely a top 8 team. And I think early on in the season, the Panthers have lost the World Cup challenge and they've lost against the Storm last week away from home. I think both of these teams, and also Para's got a great record against them in the last couple of years. So super, super wary of any anytime try scorer picks. Taylor May looked excellent last game. He basically scored a try, almost set one up, very close to scoring last week. And he was extremely close to scoring in the World Club Challenge. So I think he's a really good one to just have a look out for if you're building multis and stuff on the left edge in the center position for the Panthers. In terms of high odds try scorer stuff, I think Junior Paul at 71 on BetRight, and whether it's RCG or Hopgood at 67s, any of them stand out. I think I'd just be wary though, because Paulo got benched in the hour before the game for the Eels last week, so just be wary of that. But yeah, those three definitely stand out. Aside from that, I'm just going to be pretty careful with this game, to be honest. Like with try score stuff for this game, last week really burnt me. Like I had quite a few plays from memory in the premium chat on that Storm and Panthers game, especially right side Panthers guys. I thought that was just such a good read, thinking I'll tip him early in the week, and if Munster's out, not only do the Panthers players become more likely to score, but the Panthers right side becomes like even more of a threat given that Munster's out on the left. I was so proud of that read, and they scored 0 points and kind of crushed me. So a little bit wary. There was one thing I was going to say about this game. One thing this has reminded me of. So just before, so we're 3 games in, so I'm going to shoot through these. But one thing I'm really excited about. So obviously, as you guys know from last year, we've been around for almost 4 years, and I've always said no to like affiliate links and partnering bookies and stuff. But with BetRight, our deal is literally like if you sign up, we get a referral fee for every sign up. So it's not percentage of people's losses, etc. like some deals are. But I think the cool thing is that BetRight is pretty much, they started up their company around when we started ours. And I remember telling them, like, they actually approached us and they were into, the odds comparison tool and stuff. But if you scroll through, if you go this way, look at how many players that BetRight have the best odds for. You scroll all the way through. Anyways, I'm not going to go all the way through, but like green means that only this bookie has the best price for that player. Yellow means multiple bookies have the best price. But as you can see, guys, like BetRight do genuinely have really good competitive prices. We do also have a custom try scorer market with them, which is up for the week. I don't have that on me at the moment, but I think what I'm going to try to do every week is pick 3 middle forwards, and if any of them score, that market wins. So if you love Wicky's try scorer stuff, but you're like, oh, I don't want to be betting on stuff that's 51-1, 81-1, you're a bit scared of that, fair enough. I pick 3 guys, and if any of those middle forwards score, we win our custom market on BetRight. So the link to that will be on our Discord. It'll be on here. Sign up to BetRight. You can find it there. And the other one is basically I'm going to pick 2 players, and if either of them score, our bet wins. So I think this week I've chosen Karaz and Cam Murray as those 2. I forgot who I chose as the middle forwards, but 3 guys I'm really pumped. I think one of them was a Sharks forward. I think it might have been Toby Rudolph, because I'm thinking the Sharks forward to score up against the Dog is a really good play. So again, guys, I didn't want to work with a bookie just to get the affiliate fees and all that kind of stuff. I did genuinely check out BetRight. I absolutely love their pricing. You see here, like, they do have really good pricing for try scoring markets generally. And they've got, obviously they've got the same game multis and all that kind of stuff. Feel free to check it out. Cool. Let's get back into it. This Raiders-Tigers game, it's been priced really weirdly by almost every bookie. So I won't talk too much about it. I think I was actually keen on the Tigers plus 7.5, whatever. I thought the Raiders did play extremely well last week, but I just thought they wouldn't be able to back it up. But then the Tigers have named like a super weird team with fucking Aiden Caesar on the bench and stuff. It's really weird. No one really stands out to me in terms of anytime try scorer. You got 2 of my boys, Josh Papa and Stefano Tukumanu. They usually, I'd love to bet on them for try scorer plays, but they just show so short. The only guys that I'd probably be keen on, maybe, that's right. Stefano Tukumanu at 51s. That's probably the closest one I can get to in terms of value. Obviously, I'll double check before I write the article, but that's probably the one that stands out. Stefano, first try scorer, 51 on Better for this game. And in terms of my read for this game, so as I said, early on, I was going the Tigers, and I was pretty confident and keen. I don't think the Raiders didn't win a game 13 plus all season last year, but they did. They did last week, right? So I think that's overkill. Like, I do not think they're going to win 2 games back to back and just maul the Tigers. I think the Tigers, they do have some fresh faces. They've got Galvin, Lachlan Galvin, is that his name? I forgot his name. They've got, what the hell is his name? Lachlan Galvin, sorry. They've got him in the halves. They've got Fatape in the centers because Justin Olam's injured. They've got Caesar in the bench. Like, it's a bit of an odd team, whereas the Raiders played well last week and they get Seb Chris back. So I'm definitely not tipping or betting or having anything to do with the Tigers anymore. But I just don't think the Raiders are going to play that well 2 weeks in a row. So, cool. All right, guys, we're halfway done. Getting into this game, Cowboys-Knights. So Cowboys mauled an underwhelming Dolphins side last week, whereas the Knights were underwhelming themselves against the Raiders last week. Zach Labart, I've got to call him out. Where is he? He was excellent. Scored the first try, and I think he either scored another one or set one up later. He looked really good on that right center spot for the Cowboys. In terms of anytime try scorer player, guys, I really like Kai Pearce-Paul. So the premium boys, we got on him at 8s, I think it was, anytime try scorer yesterday. But he'll be on that left edge, and that's Ponga's favorite left edge where Lockie Fitzgibbon used to play. I still like him at 6s on Bet365. Obviously, I'll have a look out for other value, but yeah, he's a bit of a tall, pommy freak. Absolutely love this guy, Kai Pearce-Paul. So have a look out for him. First try scorer, juicy prices wise. Leo Thompson, I think I might have tipped him already to the premium guys, but definitely like him at 81s on Bet365. Jacob Saifidi, 71 on Top Sport, and Adam Elliott, 61s on BetRight. They're probably 3 of the ones that are pretty decent prices. Again, I'll lock them in the article, but definitely like those prices. I think this will be an interesting game where I think it's easy to say, oh, the Cowboys mauled the Dolphins last week and then the Knights were shit. But then you think back to 2023 last season, and the Knights had like an amazing end to the season, and the Cowboys didn't even make the 8. So I think if you're doing tips, so you're punching on lines and all that kind of stuff, the number one piece of advice I could have to give is don't pay too much attention to fucking round 1. It's one round. And I think even funnily enough, like fantasy and SuperCoach players are doing that, like thinking, oh, this guy didn't get minutes, he's screwed. Jason Tamalolo, for example, is not going to get 20 minutes every week. It's just because they were easily beating the Dolphins, which is why he was getting held back. Cool. Storm Warriors. This game is going to be super interesting. So this is a classic case of the Warriors last week, all the hype, playing in New Zealand, up against, who are they playing? The Sharks, who do not do well against top 8 teams, do not do as well away from home, and the Warriors lost. Whereas the Storm were at home to the Panthers. Munster was out. The Panthers and the Storm got the job done. So I think this is like another perfect case of the Warriors. As long as Egan and Capewell do play, like they are named, as long as they do play, I really like the Warriors at least to cover the 7.5 and potentially even win the game, because I think across the season, I do rate them as, I think I rate them as the better team up against the Storm. And if you watch my preseason live pod, I backed them in for the premiership at 21s. All right, so I'm just going to quickly double check my phone in case anyone's telling me that we've got tech issues. But the last thing I've got is all good, no worries. So I'm going to go ahead with that, no worries. Let me have a quick look. Oh, all right. I've got a super coach question, but I'll get to that a bit later. All right. So Storm v Warriors. So going to the try scorer tips. Again, it's one of these games where when you've got two good teams, I'm a little bit burnt from last week, and I'm going to be a little bit wary with anytime try scorer tips. At first glance, really quick, I haven't really paid much attention to this game for anytime try scorers, to be honest. But Jerome Hughes, $3.90 at Bet365. You can see here, career-wise, he scores a try every 3 games. I'm sure he'll be up for it up against the Warriors. Obviously, he's a proud Kiwi. He's probably the guy that stands out at sort of first glance. First try scorer, high price guys. Geez, all right. The value has really been cut out of this game. Maybe like an Egan or a Capewell at 41s. I know Charlie Kelly from our Discord community loves that, and Fanul Blake. He scored first last week and he's 41s, and also like Sean Johnson at 34. So any of these 4, Fanul Blake 41, 365, Egan 41, Top Sport, Capewell 41, 365, and Sean Johnson 34 on BetRight and Top Sport. They're probably 4 of the guys that I'm leaning towards, but again, I will lock them in by the time that I write the article. Manly v the Roosters. This is a really interesting matchup. So we've got Manly, who were just fucking on against the Rabbitohs in Vegas. Manly, I think the couple interesting things. Tom Trbojevic looked fucking good, and he's got almost 2 weeks off between games, so he should be 100% ready to go. Ben Trbojevic on that left edge looked really good. Luke Brooks really good. They both scored, and I remember calling that because I was like, I was trying to say that the right edge for the Rabbitohs would be weak. We got an 11-1 same gamer up, I think, in this game that included, I think it was Ben Trbojevic, but I'm forgetting it now. But anyways, whatever. I think this is a really interesting game. So you got the Roosters, and the Roosters have had that whole Spencer Leniu distraction, but on paper, they've got a stacked outfit. They can miss Spencer Leniu and bring in Jared Warrior-Hargraves, which is fucking insane. They can have, who do they drop? I forgot who they dropped, but they've got Dom Young back. I think they didn't drop Suwali. They've got Billy Smith missing. My bad. So they've got Billy Smith, who's still injured, and they've just brought Dom Young back. Imagine having a couple of injuries and bringing Jared Warrior-Hargraves and Dom Young back into your side. Absolutely ridiculous. That's right. It was Ruben Garrick who I had in the same game that hit at 11-1 on Vegas Day. So having a real quick look at this, I think there's a few Manly players that are there's quite a few Manly players that are pretty good price. If I had to take my pick, Olakau'atu looked good. So just like at a first glance, I'd probably go with Olakau'atu at $4.10 on Sportsbet. Looks like a pretty good price, but there's a few in here that look decent. One thing also, actually, if you're watching out for the games on the weekend, I mentioned that early in the season, anytime try scores, I like to take it easy. But also, think about the weather. We've got our cricket grand final on the weekend, and I know that it's meant to be raining on and off between Friday to Sunday in Sydney. So if you are having a punt on these games, it actually could help us. These obviously, you guys know with Wicky, we're really big on the big odd stuff, and it could actually help us. I'm going to steer away from this anytime try score stuff and have a real quick look at the big first try scorer plays. I think like an Aloi or a Paseka potentially. I think one of them. No, he didn't score. But yeah, Aloi and Paseka potentially in the 60s for Manly could be all right. Warrior Hargraves, if he starts at 81, potentially. But Victor Radley scored last for us at 71-1 in Vegas for the premium guys, which is absolutely insane. So I think there's something here, especially if it's been raining throughout the weekend. I'll definitely be having a crack at these middles. But yeah, I'll double check the numbers before I lock into a tip. Siua Wong, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't know if I love the 34. I think it's decent, but he's a fucking freak of a player. So I think whether I tip him now or later, he'll definitely be one that I look for. He's him and Terrell May. They're two guys for the Roosters who just beasts. Like if it wasn't for their age, they would probably have like a bigger role in that team. And they're going to be absolutely amazing to watch. And it's one of the reasons why I don't think I said this necessarily in the pod, but in the preseason, like when I was looking at who I should tip for my futures play for the Premiership and minor Premiership, I went with the Warriors just because they were the juicier odds. They were 21s, and I thought they should be sort of like in that 10 to 15 bracket. But I really did like the Roosters at that sort of 950. I just didn't want to tip anyone that short. I wanted to have some fun with my tip and tip a bit of value. But no, awesome. All right, last game, guys. So this is another funny one. This is the Dragons that look like fucking world beaters up against the Titans on Sunday. But the Titans were missing Foran, they were missing David Fafita, they were missing Jaden Campbell, their fullback, and it was just a bit of a shit show, to be honest. Whereas the Dolphins, they also played poorly and they got beaten up by oh my god, mind blank. Dolphins got smashed by the Cowboys, but Dolphins had a couple of injuries on top of that. Now, like the left edge, Tessinu got dropped, O'Sullivan got dropped, and they had Lemuelu get injured. That's the whole left edge pretty much, except for the winger Bostock. So usually I would say the team that got smashed, I'd back them in with the line potentially against the team that did really well when I don't really rate the Dragons this year. But in this case, just because the Dolphins were so screwed because of injuries, I'd be really wary. One I love here is Ewan Aitken. So he's showing up as good model value odds, but just people who play in the backs a lot and then move to the forwards, for example, they don't quite get rated correctly by a model. So I'd be a little bit wary about that. But, he runs and he doesn't pass, right? So Aitken at 5s on PetRight looks pretty juicy anytime try scorer. Be wary of Ravalawa, guys. So he used to be the right side winger, and therefore, he's got really good model and historical odds. But like one of the only things that we can't feed into our model is right and left. So Jack Bird and Lomax were on the right. Lomax scored a try last week. Looked great on the right edge for the Dragons, but Ravalawa was now on the left. So I'd be wary of putting him in your multis or picking him in your draft teams or anything like that. First try scorer looks like the juicy odds. So you got Jesse Bromwich stands out straight away, 91s on BetRight. Frankie Molo, 67s on Dabble is all right. Laurie, 67s on BetRight is all right as well. So I'll have a look at these before I commit to a tip. Flegler, that was so painful. I tipped him, I think, in the article and to the premium guys. At 67s last week, and he fucking scores second, which was heartbreaking. But anyways, Isaiah Katoa at 41s and BetRight is all right as well. So you can see like BetRight has a shitload of try score value this week. They did it in round 1, but they've certainly delivered this week, and I'm pretty sure this will continue on for the season. So I'll lock into sort of middle forward picks for this game, but I think especially with a bit of rain around, these two teams are not – they honestly, I really do think they'll both be bottom 4 teams. I thought the Dolphins would go all right, but with these injuries, I'm a little bit worried. And the Dragons, they played really well in round 1, but I just can't see them making the 8 with that squad. So I think that's it, guys, for the tips. So as always, the odds comparison tool, you see it right in front of you. Google Wiki Linktree, go to wiki.ai. Either way, you'll find it here for free. You see here, like there's links to join our Discord. We're about to crack 4K hopefully in the next week or two. Punter's preview. I'm going to lock that in about half an hour after I've done the pod. You'll see this link will take you there. BetRight, as I showed you, has tons of competitive try scorer prices and a whole lot more. Check them out if you're keen. And all of the bookies that myself and Jacob from Tripod have an affiliate link with, feel free to check them out. It's all here. But that's it, guys, in terms of the tips. I'm going to very quickly go through my fantasy and SuperCoach team. If you're not interested in fantasy and SuperCoach, fair enough, you can piss off. I will very quickly, how do I stop sharing? And then I start sharing again. Give me 1 second. Cool. So very quickly, I'm going to run you through, before I finish, very quickly run you through all the stuff that we're doing in terms of NRL content. So 6 p.m. Wednesdays, the pod that I'm doing now kicks off. Odds comparison tool goes live, so that's already live, the free version. 7:30, roughly, Punter's preview article with the tips for the weekend. I usually do the write-up sort of Thursday and Friday mornings when I get time, but the tips will be there on a Wednesday evening. Aside from that, if you're in NRL, if you're into NRL Fantasy or NRL SuperCoach, we've got free leagues. They'll be in here as well. Google Wicky Linktree, you'll find the link to all our free Fantasy and SuperCoach leagues, so we can obviously compete with each other. Aside from that, we've got content with Carl Bedford and NRL Fantasy Scout. They're helping me do an NRL Fantasy preview article and NRL late mail, which you can use for fantasy, SuperCoach, punting, tips, whatever you want to use it for. And the cool thing about that is it has left and right side, so it tells you how many players. Sorry, not how many players. Who's playing on the left and right side for each team, and we've got that all in there as well. So it'll be somewhere in here. I'll probably need to refresh my page actually, but yeah, anyways, you'll find it. It's all in there. Aside from that, we're doing a whole bunch more stuff, but I don't want to bore you right now. So I'm going to get straight into my fantasy and SuperCoach team real quick. Where are we? All right, so I'll stop sharing and I'll start sharing my fantasy team. This is not going to be fun for me because I've done pretty freaking badly. All right, okay, cool. So there we go. All right, this is my team. I hope if the guys on Discord, I hope you guys can see everything. I think you can. Anyways, so I think I might have mentioned to you guys on the chat, I take NRL Fantasy a lot more seriously than I take NRL SuperCoach. Not that I don't like SuperCoach. I really do like SuperCoach, but NRL Fantasy, I've just played it for longer. There's less trades, a bit more. I guess with SuperCoach, they're trying to get out a bit more to the mainstream audience, and there's more trades, boosts, and all this kind of stuff, which I know about. I just don't pay as much attention to as fantasy. Regardless, my overall rank is 118,000. So I clearly am not that good at this fucking game. In terms of my team, the funny thing is I'm pretty sure I'm making 0 trades. So Karaz and Marju, they're like big base stat guys. They both flopped round 1. But that's the thing. Like I wanted them because their base is sort of like that sort of late 20s to sort of mid 30s, and they both ended up kind of in that range. But their upside, like they can get to that sort of 80, 90 range, I think, in NRL Fantasy, which is why I love them. Both their teams had a pretty shit round 1, and I'm hoping they can recover. What else do we have? We've got Wong, Piakura, and Tupanua. People are trading them out, but they all got injuries or HIAs. At least fucking have a look at what they score like in a proper round, like let them get 60, 80 minutes and see what they score like. One of my very few wins was Morgan Smithies. He got 52 in NRL Fantasy, and he was kind of priced in the mid 30s, so very happy with that. Who did I captain in round 1 in fantasy? I think I captained Cleary. So, yeah, 51, not amazing, but so many of the guns were underwhelming. Unless you had Haas, and there's no way I wanted Haas. Haas doesn't have a huge ceiling, and I wanted guys with ceilings, so I was happy to leave him out. Ponga flopped and got 35 as well. But, yeah, with Ponga, Cleary, and Hines, I know that in the next sort of couple of weeks, once they sort of get going, they can hit those tons. And as I said, I'm all about the ceiling. In terms of the guys on my bench, so Flanagan scored a try and still got 36, but that's right. That's his job. He's priced in the mid-20s. That's right. He'll start making some cash. Hutchison didn't have the best game. The Dogs were shit, and he still scored 34. Happy with that. I think he can cracked 50 pretty comfortably, even with like one big attacking play. Kinney was shit, but that's all right. The Titans were shit. They didn't have Foreign. They didn't have Fafita. Those are my excuses, but he'll be back next week. Levi scored a try and got 31 to get his price ticking upwards. Joe Chan had a ton of missed tackles and he got 26, but that was against the Panthers. I reckon he could do much better this week. Happy to give him a go. Fini Fuwaki. I remember, NRL Fantasy Scout messaging me about my team. Like, why the hell do you have that guy? Look, my theory was I didn't want guys like, I think it's Viliami Fafita. I didn't want bench rookies who were only ever going to get 15, 20 minutes. I thought Sam Hughes was stupid generally as well, but there was just no other cheapies. So I picked Hughes just because he does look like a good player. And I thought, look, the Dogs pack is pretty shit. And at least he's got the potential to get more minutes throughout the season. But there was just no one else that I wanted because all the other players were like a risk of getting punted round two. So for example, Kotrich would have been the other guy that I considered, but now he's dropped. So I just wanted to kind of get Fini Fuaki because I really like him as a player. And I think like there will be the odd week where he can score tries. I think he scored 2 or 3 in his rookie season last year. He's explosive as hell. Anyways, I'm happy to hold on to him. I'd much rather have him because he'll at least get games. And I'm happy to wait for that sort of like, he might score 2 tries in a month and get like a little bit of a price rise and that can piss him off. Or he'll be like a little bit of a placeholder until like a better rookie pops up. But that's probably it, guys. Like I'm going to hold Cotter as well. Obviously, the Cowboys won easily and therefore he didn't get any minutes. I'm happy to see how he goes against the Knights, and I'm hoping that game's close, and I'm hoping he can crack a 50 and maybe even close to a 60 if he actually has to do a bunch of work. All right, last one, guys. I'm going to share my screen and show you my SuperCoach team real quick. All right, so here I have a very impressive rank of 54,000. So you can see NRL Fantasy, I'm like 118, and here I'm less than half the rank, 54,000, which is excellent. Excellent start to the season. Again, I am going with no trades. So this team, pretty disappointing in all honesty. I went for Ponga and Drinkwater for upside, and they only got 100 points between them, which is not great. I think my only good pick, Hammer got 79 in a pretty poor performance. So I'm happy with that. My only good pick was Val Holmes getting 100, which is awesome. Hines got 26, but that's all right. Like he's got 3. He's got games against, I think it's the Dogs, Tigers, and the Titans, I think it is. That's why I have Nico Hines, whereas Cleary has like a pretty tough run for the first 5 weeks. Doesn't necessarily matter with Cleary, but who would you rather want out of them two? Hines with a soft run or Cleary with a hard run? Like, it's pretty easy for me. That's why I made the pick, and there's no way I'm going to back out now. Same deal. Wong, Piakura, Tupanua. I want to see how they go for one more week without HIAs and injuries. Wong, I think I'll hold on to him almost definitely regardless. And same probably with Piakura. A bunch of the different sort of content creators in the SuperCoach space are mentioning that Piakura's 4 rolls out of his average first because it was his first game. It's going to have a minimal impact on his cash increases going forward. Definitely not touching him. Tupanua could be the one where I think him and Wong, if they're starting in the second row, should at least get 60 minutes. But for whatever reason, they're not injured, and that Roosters, like Trent Robinson, does muck around with his forwards. If Tupanua happens to like only get 40 minutes starting in the second row, then I probably will have to piss him off. But if he gets 70, 80 minutes and he gets a decent score, look at his price, $3.98. I've got him as a cheapie, and I'm happy to hold on. He did get injured in Vegas. That's why he only got 26 points. Happy to at least see how he goes. I'll be totally honest. Iro, I just didn't want. Why do I have Iro on my team? I think I was trying to help the other guys in my team with their, like our Wicky team. We've got 3 full-time guys overseas, and they're new to rugby league, and I was helping them with their team, and I kind of forgot about mine. But I'm pretty sure I went with Iro because I didn't want any of these Raiders backs that like Kotrich and stuff that I thought were going to get dropped, and I didn't want one or two of the other guys. So I thought, let me pick a cheapie that's dual position. You know what? I genuinely, that was, no. I picked him because I thought he's definitely going to be next in line because Connor Tracy's out now for the Sharks. He's gone to the Dogs. So I thought Iro would be the next one in line, and he was super cheap and he was dual position. So I thought instead of picking like a Raiders player who already I thought the Raiders were going to play shit, instead of picking them, and they'll probably get dropped anyway, I'd rather just pick a super cheap guy from the Sharks, at least knowing he's next in line. So, for example, Talakai or Mulatalo both hurt their ankles. I think they're both going to play. But say they hurt their ankles and they're out for 4 or 5 weeks, bang, I've got someone who will actually play. And that was my thinking there. Same with Finian Fiaki, as I said in NRL Fantasy, so don't repeat myself. Fletcher Baker was a placeholder who I forgot to change. So I'm gonna have to cop that as a dumb pick. I should have just picked I don't know who I should have picked, but I shouldn't have picked Fletcher Baker. But that's okay. I think my thought process with Fletcher Baker was, if he's being brought over from the Roosters, I didn't think he'd get big minutes and be a great cash cow. My theory with him was he should at least get a gig every week, average somewhere between 25 to 35. And around Origin time, he'll get a sort of decent crack with Haas and Carrigan, etc. out. That was my thought process. I just didn't love anyone else, to be honest. And funnily enough, Lenny is out for 8 weeks, but I've held him and I've captained him because I've got Nico Hines as my VC. So I'm hoping Hines tears up the Dogs. I can keep Lenny in there and bang, double Hines' score with the VC loophole in SuperCoach. And if not, I think I'm going to go. I've got this thought, 5:30 game in Queensland on a hot day, flat like Queensland surface. I really want to go KP up against his old team in the Cowboys. I think that could be a really good matchup. I definitely don't want to go Dylan Brown against the Panthers. I could go Val Holmes against the Knights, but I'm a little bit wary, and I don't want to just go him again because he did well in round 1. I'm a little bit wary of that. And the Dolphins are up against the Dragons. That's a massive risk to go hammer, I reckon. Anyway, I think KP up against his old side is like that risky option that I'm thinking if Hines doesn't go big. There's no way I'm going any of my forwards. I don't have any guns there. But yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry today I was a little bit clunky with the new tech stuff, but at least I know what I'm doing now. So next week it'll be a lot smoother. Once again, guys, please Google Wicky Linktree. Check out our Discord. We've got a whole bunch of stuff for NRL Fantasy, NRL SuperCoach, punting, all our tips, our multis, etc., all in our Discord or on our Linktree. I think that's it. Enjoy the weekend. Please punt responsibly if you choose to do so. And that's it. We'll catch you soon.